The Whale is a 2023 release horror thriller gothic film, and the film opens in a very remote village in the era of 1493 during a very ominous night. This is the flashback scene actually we get at the start of the movie, and a young woman named Doka, which is dressed in a very ceremonial robes, and she just chants the incantations alongside Emma and Marcus and her uh, with her accomplices, and the group just gathers around a very deep stone well where they spill the blood of a helpless villager into its depth. From the well rises a demonic presence that is known as Guron, and that demonic presence is just bounded by chains and but seething with the power. And now Doka uses the blood to anoint herself and the others, their face just twisting with the euphoria as they gain the eternal youthness. And the price for this gift, as we know, this is not something very cheap, is clear that is just human sacrifices that must be made regularly to keep the Guron appeased or to keep him alive or young. This is what it is, and the opening sequence is just deranged in a very forbidding atmosphere, with the camera lingering on the grotesque expression of the trio as well as the bubbling and crimson streaked water in the well, and the scene just ends with Guron's hunting roar echoing through the night and setting a grim tone for the story itself. And we see that present day setting where we meet the character of the Lisa Gray, which is played by our beloved brave girl, that is Lauren Lavera, the Terrifier one, if you remember her, and a passionate yet inexperienced art restorer. And her journey just begins as she arrives in Sambuci, which is a very secluded Italian village that is surrounded by dense forest and crumbling stone walls. The village has really unsettling quietness, roughness, rawness, and there are very few locals that are offering her Gary glances as she passes. And actually, this scene is just included right in our video at the start. So Lisa is greeted at the decaying Malvy villa by Emma Malvy, which is a mysterious and aloof woman who hired her to restore an ancient painting. The villa itself is a character. It has a very dark hallways, flickering candlelight, and peeling wallpaper that just create a very eerie, suspenseful, and ambience that just keeps the whole thing alive. I think it's a very horror type feeling right there we get. But as we see, Lisa just begins her restoration work. She just became increasingly captivated by the painting itself she was working on, and the artwork just depicts a very grotesque figure that is clawing its way out of a well, and that is surrounded by cryptic runes and symbols. Every brushstroke she uncovers seems to bring her closer to the darker history that is hidden within the villa itself. While Lisa works inside the villa, a group of biologists is shown exploring the lush countryside nearby, and the jovial banter contrasts sharply with the film's darker ideology and theme, lulling the audience into a very false sense of security. However, their curiosity leads them to the ancient well, where they are captured by Marcus, now a hardened and brutal enforcer of the Malvy family's curse. The biologists are just shackled in a very cold, damp cellar near the well, and their fear is palpable as they hear whispers and growls just emanating from the depth. And one of them is a determined young woman. I think she's Tracy, just try to escape and plan, but is soon dragged away as the first sacrifice. So it is not Tracy, actually Tracy is another woman that is with Madison. So they are couple, they are also into these things, and they are captured by the forces in that villa, and the scene of her ritualistic death is just chilling, and the camera cuts between her terrified face and the blood-soaked altar where Guron's influence is just felt as the ground trembles. And the subplot introduces the concept of the very collateral damage and innocent lives that were just caught in the Malvy's family relentless pursuit of power. But as we see the days passes, Lisa begins experiencing unsettling hallucination while working on the painting, and she dreams of shadowy hands reaching out to her from the artwork itself, and their finger ice cold and having a skeletal kind of body figure, dismantled figure, and the dream just become more vivid each night that just blur the line between what is reality and what is the fantasy. And one night we see that Lisa awakens to find her tools just inexplicably rearranged, and the painting just glowing faintly in the darkness, Determined to uncover the truth, she just delves into the villa's dusty library, where she discovers the journals that were written by the past Malvy family members. And this writing just describes the Guru's curse and the sacrifices just required to maintain their immortality. And in one just particularly harrowing scene, we come to see that Lisa just tries to venture and into the villa's basement and finds an old mirror that is covered with a blooded cloth. There are blood all along it, and it is very horrifying scene as she first encounters it because it is just unexpected for her. And the mirror reveals horrifying visions of Guron and the victims who have been consumed by the well. We see that her growing knowledge of the Malvesi family's dark legacy just pushes her close to the danger itself. As the full moon approaches, the film tension just reaches its very peak time. Emma and Marcus finalize the preparation for the renewal ritual, just planning to sacrifice the Julia, that is Emma's own teenage daughter, to strengthen their immortality. And Lisa was just horrified by their cold-hearted plan, decide to just intervene between them, because this is not something you would expect, that you are just sacrificing your daughter for the sake of the so-called youthness or maintaining that creature's life. So this is very weird. And in between that, we see many of the glimpses in that film where she's getting nightmare, where she's experiencing, where she's especially the character of the Lisa Gray is just hallucinating over the creatures, the shadowy things that is just appearing out of nowhere, especially in the dark hallways area or in their vivid imagination of Lisa Gray. And especially when she is sculpting the painting, that time you can see that when she is restoring that, some of the eyes of the creature that are present in that painting, they are just peeping out through her as if they are just looking out there. So she just gets terrified, and she just felt uneasiness at very moment of the time about the house and its dark history, that something is just unsettling about these things, and this is not a normal house. So before arriving there, she had no idea, especially, but after arriving there, she got a little bit sense of what she's going into that. And when she and in one of the vivid nightmare scene, we see that she is with the that female, so called of a demon or witch or something like that, that is Redorak. She is with that, and that dream sequence just cut because it is a very short sequence where we see the interaction of both, and that is for very less period, because she was sleeping on the bed, the Lisa Grace character, and then there is suddenly grabbing of that Dorak character. So this is the one of the nice nightmarish thing that does describe the power of this being, that who is they just control your guilt, fear, and the emotion, and can appear in your nightmare to just give you chills out. And one of the setback that is for the Lisa Grace character is because in the last scene we come to know that the Marcus guy, that was actually kind of a good guy at the start of the film, because we do not know the intention of that character. That is later revealed that he was also joined in this so-called ritualistic thing, and he is one of the main character in that so-called thing. So that just gives a very setback for the character of Lisa Gray and to general audiences, that we should not trust anybody until and unless we know of him. I mean, we had know the character for at least, I think, a month or something like that, because you cannot just trust anybody, and because the betrayal can be very dangerous, and it can just bring hazardous consequences that we have seen in the case of Marcus and the character of the Lisa Gray. And I think the Lisa's discovery of hidden symbol beneath the painting surface is just a pivotal point. And by using the ultraviolet light, she just uncovers a series of cryptic runes and depiction of the well's ritual, and the moment of revelation just propels Lisa Gray into the action as she realizes that the true nature of her assessment is just very much danger thing. And armed with the knowledge, the Lisa Gray, she has just uncovered, Lisa defaces the painting during the ritual, and her act of rebellion just disrupts the carefully constructed ceremony, causing the magic to just spiral out of control. And the scene is just so chaotic, so messy at the time. The air just grows thick with the smoke, and the ground quakes, and Emma, Marcus, and Dorca just scream as their body just rapidly decay. Before this final confrontation of the climax scene, we come to see that she just uncovered the truth about the well, and she just goes there because with the help of that hidden door. And we see that she encounters with that monster that is present, or the big man or the big character that is present, and while he was just trying to sacrifice that girl that is present. I think it was Tracy, the one that were living in the tent, the couple in the tent. So he was just trying to sacrifice her to kill her for maintenance of the demon. So then at that time we see that she just the character of Lisa Gray just show a very bravious mood, and she just knocked him out and saving her life alive. That was, I think, one of the most turning point of the movie. However, the destruction of the painting has a very unintended consequences, and the seal on the well just awakens, allowing the Guron to break free. And his form is just monstrous with glowing eyes and elongated limbs. I mean, first time when I saw it, it was like that the creature I saw on internet. I don't remember his name. Yeah, I got it. The Slender Man thing. It was having very long name like Slender Man, and but with little glowing eyes, you can distinguish the facial features very well, and that just stretch unnaturally as he roars in triumph. The Malvy family's demise comes too late to prevent the catastrophic release of that creature, and the ritual's climax is one of the film's most visually striking moments, I guess. The chaos that ensures the crumbling walls, flickering flames, and the groan's terrifying emergence is a masterclass in the tension and the special effects. And the sequence just symbolizes the unraveling of centuries of deceit and the corruption. As Guron escapes, the Lisa faces her very darkest moment of her life. With the well unsealed, the village actually totally is in a danger of being consumed by the vital or the unstoppable force that is the Guron's wrath. And we see that drawing upon the journal she found earlier. And Lisa just recite an ancient spell, and that ancient spell is actually she remember accidentally. I mean, when she was just recovering that painting, and there was some written ancient text, and she just spills the word out that just rebinds the creature to the well. So this is kind of very unexpected, but that goes very well with the flow of the movie, and I think she has got some hint back then in the movie itself. So that kind of will blend with her, and that helps her to tackle the Guron itself, and the processing very harrowing and leaving her physically and emotionally drained. The final scene offer a very shocking twist. Actually, years later, we see that Lisa is shown as the owner of the very high-end clinic, and that is specialized in the rejuvenation treatments for the wealthy elite or the wealthy class people. And it is revealed that she has harvested Guron's body to create these treatments, profiting from the some dark power she once fought to destroy. So she's actually using it for her own profit. So actually that is good for her, I mean. And the ending, I think, really suggests that the cycle of the greed and corruption just remains unbroken. With Lisa was becoming a modern day counterpart to the Malvy family we see, and the stark contrast between the clinic's sterile environment and the Wales' ancient horror drives home the film's central theme, that is the seductive and the corrupting nature of the power. So we see that she has utilized the Guron's blood to sustain youth and the vitality at the same time. So I really liked the movie. The concept was actually good. When I heard the movie's name, The Well, I thought it might be relating to a kind of a water well or something like that, but it was out of extraordinary. I mean, it's a gothic horror thriller film, and you really get the blend of thrill element, suspense element in this movie, because it was really great. And it's, I think, a very masterful blend of both the genres, including the horror and the suspense one. And it's a very, I think, richly detailed narrative, and the film really explores the challenges viewers to confront their own, I think, fear, desire, and moral boundaries. And it's really draw into its visual and airy atmosphere and its layered storytelling. And the film is really well written, though the dialogues were on point. Even the some of the short fight scene were good. The script was good overall. I think it just have all the element that is needed for a good thriller film. And there are many of the, it's, I think, definitely watchable film, because it's really deserve a one single watch actually. And if you watch it multiple times, you can even find out what were the extra hint of, related to character and all the movie setting things. There were actually many themes behind the ending, I guess, especially the seduction of the power, because we see that the Lisa just succumbs to the allure of power and wealth at the end, and she's just perpetuating the same cycle of exploitation she sought to end at the first point of time. And greed, as you know, it's just greed because it's a universal curse, and the film just implies that human greed and ambitions are unending because there is no limit to greed. And even someone like Lisa, who risked her life to stop the Malvy family, is not immune to the corrupting influence of power, and she's using herself for that, for her self uh, earning. So that is what it is. And for moral ambiguity reason, the ending is, I think, morally ambiguous, presenting Lisa as both the savior and a villain. So it's upon you as audience to decide which one you would like to pick or see in the role. While she prevents the Guron from wreaking havoc, she just ultimately uses its blood for her own gain, suggesting a line between good and evil is often blood. And I think director Federico just really did a great job at directing the film. To make a gothic horror and thriller film, it's a much difficult task because you have to see all the elements in the movie just uh, at a par to be just at a very good level. So it just do not just kind of a board the audience who is watching it or not spark interest among them. And atmospheric setting and cinematography was really good for this movie. And our beloved girl, that is Lauren Lavera, was also terrified girl. She just really plays the character of Lisa Gray to her heart because she just outshines the character. A very strong protagonist with determination and vulnerability just makes her both relatable and compelling at the same time. And even the supporting cast character were too good, the makeup was too good, and overall the film was good. And beneath its, I think, horror element, it's a very well meditation on the price of power and the human tendency to exploit it. And the film really excels in building suspense through the subtle scares rather than relying on cheap jump scare like we see in most of the movies that are, I think, they are just adding jump scare in the in the name of the horror film, but they are not up to the mark. The hallucination, eerie whispers, and the shadowy hand just reaching from the painting are, I think, unsettling without doing it, I think, without feeling overdone. One of the, I think, kind of setback that you miss in that because you have watched so many horror movies with the predictable twist, because for seasoned horror fans like you and me, such as the plot between the Lisa's eventual exploitation of Guron's bird may feel predictable, I guess. While executed well, this twist, I think, lacked the shock factor that could have elevated the story further. And overall, I think it's a very visually stunning and thematically rich horror film, and that just offered, I think, more than cheap jump scare. And its exploitation of the themes like morality, power, and human greed, I think, both thought-provoking and unsettling, and kind of giving a new perspective to watch film. And it's a very standout entry in the gothic horror genre. So if you like this film, do watch it and subscribe to our channel for more such breakdowns at Cinema Shadow.